Here is the contradiction at the center of the story. Donald Trump has mentioned Wharton 52 times in public between June 2015 and January 2018 alone. 52. In speeches, in interviews, in debate appearances, in press conferences, in the specific, recurring, completely practiced register of a man who has been deploying the same credential for 40 years, and who deploys it in the specific, confident, preemptive register of someone who has decided that the credential, announced loudly enough and frequently enough, will function as a wall between the claim and the evidence, that the repetition of the name Wharton will do the work that the release of the transcript would otherwise be required to do. 52 times. 0 transcript releases. That is the number that runs under every subsequent number in this story. 52 public invocations of the credential. 0 releases of the document that would confirm the credential. The specific, documented 40-year arithmetic of a man who has built an entire public identity on a piece of paper he will not show anyone, and who has spent 40 years trusting that the gap between the announcement and the evidence will remain unexamined, that the credential will function as self-certifying, that the name Wharton, said 52 times, is its own proof. Jimmy Kimmel got a copy of the 1968 University of Pennsylvania commencement program. He opened it on air. He read it line by line. He looked at every page. He found the name Donald J. Trump in the specific, flat, completely unhurried register of a man reading a document and reporting what the document says. He found the name. He did not find the words number 1. This is the story of the number, the specific, documented 40-year-old number that Trump has been placing at the center of the Wharton claim since the credential first became a campaign instrument, number 1 in the class. The smartest person to ever attend, the professors who came to him, the school that had never seen anyone like him, the number, the ranking, the specific, superlative, first-person singular position at the top of the documented hierarchy of the most prestigious business school in America, stated 52 times in 3 years, unreleased for 40, and placed on the desk of a late-night host in Hollywood who got a copy of the commencement program and found that number 1 was not on any page. The dual timeline starts in 1968. Track 1. Trump transfers to the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School as a junior, having spent 2 years at Fordham University, and graduates in 1968 with a bachelor's degree in economics. The transfer is documented. The degree is documented. The graduation is documented. What is not documented? Not in the commencement program, not in the Penn Student Newspaper's archives, not in any contemporaneous record of the class of 1968, is a ranking that places Trump at the top of his class, or a distinction that identifies him as the most academically exceptional student in the documented history of the institution. Track 2. The claim, first stated in its full, superlative form in the specific self-promotional register of a man beginning a presidential campaign in 2015 and requiring a credential that places him above the credentialed class of opponents he is running against, above the lawyers, the senators, the governors, the people who have Harvard and Yale and Stanford in their documented biographies, and who represent, to the Trump campaign, the specific institutional elite education threat that requires a counter-credential of equivalent prestige and greater claim distinction. He said, "I went to the Wharton School of Finance, the best school." He said it in the flat, practiced, completely unhurried register of a man who has said it enough times that it no longer requires preparation. He said, "I was a really good student. The professors came to me." He said, "I was number 1 in my class." He said it across 52 documented public appearances in 3 years, in the same register, with the same credential, to audiences who had no access to the commencement program and no mechanism for verifying the number against the documentary record. The commencement program is the receipt, not a sealed transcript unsealed on live television. The fabrication channels have that detail and carries its own explicit disclaimer printed in the description in the legally required language of a channel that has learned it must print the disclaimer. The actual receipt is more modest and more devastating than any sealed envelope. It is the publicly available, institutionally printed, 1968 commencement program of the University of Pennsylvania, available through the Penn archives, listing the graduates of the class of 1968 in the flat, alphabetical, completely distinction-free format of a document that records who graduated, and that Kimmel held on air and read through, line by line, and found no number 1. He set it down. He paused. The specific jacket and cuffs pause of this script, the beat expanded. in the flat, unhurried, completely confident register of a man who does not need to say the thing the pause is saying, who knows that the audience has already assembled the finding from the document, who trusts the silence to carry the weight that a sentence would carry less efficiently. He looked at the camera. He said, if the grades proved what he claims, why has he refused to release them for 40 years? He said it in the flat, intimate, completely personal voice of someone asking a question that the audience already knows the answer to, not a rhetorical question in the performed, escalating sense of someone building to a conclusion, but the flat, genuine, intimate question of a man sitting at a desk at 11:30 at night who has just read through a commencement program and found that the number is not there, and who is asking, in the specific register of someone who is genuinely, personally, documentably puzzled by the gap between the 40-year claim and the 40-year refusal, how both of those things can be true simultaneously. The classmate record is the layer underneath the commencement program. The specific, sourced, Philadelphia Magazine investigation of September 2019 that placed the Wharton claim against the documented recollections of people who were there. The investigation found no contemporaneous classmate who remembered Trump as number one. No professor who remembered Trump as the most exceptional student in the class's documented history, and one specific documented sourced account from attorney Frank DePrima, a man who was close friends with Wharton marketing professor William T. Kelly for 47 years, who said that Kelly had told him approximately 100 times across 30 years in the specific flat private register of a professor making an assessment he had arrived at through direct pedagogical experience. Donald Trump was the dumbest goddamn student I ever had. 100 times across 30 years. In the specific private, completely unperformed register of a professor talking to a friend, not for publication, not for a press circuit, not for a campaign opposition research file, but in the flat, recurring, involuntary register of someone for whom the assessment has become the standard example, the go-to illustration, the specific case they return to when the conversation requires the most legible available example of the gap between a student's self-assessment and a professor's documented finding. He must have told me that 100 times, 100 private repetitions from the professor, 52 public repetitions from the student. The professor is dead. He passed away in 2011 at age 94, having taught at Wharton for 31 years. He cannot verify his own statement. He cannot be deposed. He cannot be called as a witness. He left the assessment in the record through the specific, documented, attorney-sourced account of a man who heard it 100 times across 30 years, and who, when the Philadelphia Magazine asked him about it in 2019, said it in the flat, unhurried, completely certain register of someone for whom the memory is not fading but fixed. I remember the inflection of his voice when he said it. Kimmel covered the Philadelphia Magazine investigation on air. He placed it beside the commencement program. He placed both of them beside the 52 documented public invocations of the Wharton credential. He placed all three beside the 40-year refusal to release the transcript, the specific, documented, Michael Cohen confirmed, congressional record entered refusal, confirmed in Cohen's testimony to Congress in February 2019, in which Cohen stated that one of the things Trump had asked him to do was to send letters to Trump's high school, colleges, and the College Board instructing them not to release his grades or SAT scores. Not release. The instruction was not release. The specific, formal, legally threatening, attorney-drafted instruction to the institutions that held the records, sent by the man whose documented, recurring, 52 times public claim was that the records would show him at the top. Kimmel said, "I would bet Trump's grades are so bad, he couldn't even get into Trump University." He said it in the flat, wry, one-sentence register. The specific economic efficiency of a joke that does not require setup or escalation, because the premise is self-contained, because the audience has been given the commencement program and the classmates, and the professor's 100 private repetitions, and the Michael Cohen congressional testimony, and the send letters not to release instruction, and because the Trump University reference places the credential claim in the specific documented context of an institution that was itself a credential fraud, that was itself the subject of a $25 million settlement, that was itself the gap between the announced number and the document that would have supported it. Trump responded by, the morning after each Wharton segment, he called Kimmel a lowlife. He called him a failing host with terrible ratings. He said the show was dying. He praised Wharton. He reaffirmed his own intelligence. He said he had been the best student they ever had. He said the professors all knew it. He said everyone who was there remembered it. He did not release the transcript. He did not address the commencement program finding. He did not address the classmates who had no recollection. He did not address the professor who said it 100 times. He did not address the Michael Cohen congressional testimony or the send letters not to release instruction. He praised the school and reaffirmed the number and left the commencement program on Kimmel's desk, in the record, with the pause sitting over it, at full weight, without a page number, and without a ranking, and without the word that 52 public invocations of the credential had been placing at the center of the claim for 40 years. Number 1. On no page, in a commencement program that is in the public record, available through the Penn archives. Held on a desk in Hollywood at 11:30 at night by a man who paused after reading it and asked in the flat, intimate, genuinely puzzled voice of someone who cannot reconcile the arithmetic, if the grades proved what he claims, why has he refused to release them for 40 years? The question is still in the record. The commencement program is still in the record. The professor's 100 private repetitions are still in the record. The Michael Cohen congressional testimony is still in the record. The send letters instruction is still in the record. The 52 public invocations are still in the record, and the transcript, the specific 40-year sealed, Michael Cohen protected, letters sent not to release document that would answer the question in either direction, is still sealed. That is the number. Not 52, not 100, not 31 years of teaching, not 25 million, not the 250 million. The number is 40. 40 years of the same claim. 40 years of the same refusal. 40 years of the specific, documented, completely unresolved gap between the number announced and the document withheld, and a commencement program that Kimmel held on a desk in Hollywood and read through, line by line, in the flat, unhurried pause and jacket cuffs register of a man who found every name and found no number 1. Subscribe right now. Turn on every notification, because the transcript is still sealed, and the question that was asked at 11:30 at night from a Hollywood desk, if the grades proved what he claims, why has he refused to release them for 40 years, is still, 40 years and 52 invocations later, waiting for the one document that could answer it.